It's rare that you get to watch a player cement themselves as one of the best players of all time for their respective position. But in my opinion, that's exactly what we're witnessing with Luka Modric. He has that timelessness that we've seen with other greats of his generation. With every step further into their 30s, a drop in quality would be expected of any normal professional. But the best continue to excel in their mature years. They adapt to their physical limitations and in some cases become even better players for it. With Luka Modric and the impact he's had for his national team and Real Madrid in his most recent seasons with the club, his 9th and 10th, there's no debate. He's cementing his legendary status in football history, and those physical limitations haven't really shown their face. Hey there, I'm Adrian and welcome to Rabona TV, where today we'll be celebrating Luka Modric, one of the finest footballers of his generation and a guy who is constantly asking the question, is he one of the best midfielders of all time? It's an interesting one to talk about, isn't it? And before we get to that, a quick plug for our sponsors of today's video, SPITCH. Now, I am horrible at fantasy football. I always forget to set up my teams and they just waste away, but I'm pretty sure Luka Modric would be on my SPITCH Champions League squad every day of the week. With SPITCH, you can build your own team from officially licensed leagues such as the Bundesliga, Premier League, Championship, and of course the aforementioned Champions League. And the best part, you can play for free while also winning real money just for being good at fantasy football. All you got to do is choose the competition you want to take part in, such as the Premier League, then choose your formation, choose your players while respecting the budget, and of course using SPITCH's analytics to help you choose the best team possible. Select your captain and away you go. The best live fantasy football experience. So, use the link below to play SPITCH for free, dominate others, show off your knowledge, and win stuff. Alright, back to Lukita. While there were some gripes along the way, the awarding of the Ballon d'Or to Luka Modric, at least with the benefit of hindsight, seems fitting now, if only to show appreciation and perhaps, more importantly, some recognition for the high, elite level he has played at throughout his career. Now, of course, this award came off of the back of propelling his nation to the World Cup final in 2018. We all know that France won, as to be expected with the squad they boasted and the pedigree they have in world football. But the accomplishment of Croatia making that final cannot be understated, nor can the impact that Modric had in their historic run to the final. At his two previous World Cups, Modric and Croatia didn't even make it out of their group. Modric was first recognized by the tournament itself by winning the Golden Ball as the best player at the 2018 World Cup. He received 3 Man of the Match awards in this tournament, and despite his age, had more kilometers run than anyone else, the most completed dribbles and passes completed, a common theme, really. Fast forward to his next international tournament, and when his country needed some brilliance from him, Luka provided it, as his goal against Scotland was one of the best of the tournament. Perhaps the best when it comes to technique. His strike from outside of the box with the outside of his boot was the eventual winner to propel Croatia to the round of 16, even though Modric followed up that brilliance with an assist for Perisic later in the match. Just to make sure, you know? And that, of course, came after Pat Nevin, a former Scottish footballer turned pundit, had said, quote, "I watched the Champions League semi-final recently. McGinn versus Modric? Honestly, I'm now McGinn all day long. Modric is one of my favorite players of the past 20 years, but he's of an age now where, see if you outrun him, it doesn't matter how good you are." I guess it does matter just how good you are when you're speaking about one of the best midfielders of this generation, a guy who never really relied on speed in order to be effective. Anyway, perhaps proof of Modric's relevancy, even though it's absolutely not needed, comes through 2 of the records that Modric holds for the Croatian national team at European Championships. He's both the youngest scorer ever for Croatia and the oldest, following that goal against Scotland, which was scored when he was 35 years and 286 days old. When Modric arrived at Real Madrid, he wasn't an instant hit, even though Mourinho backed the signing by saying, quote, "I know that Luka will appeal to the fans, and I'm sure he will fit into the squad. He is a talented player with tactical discipline, a team player that is constantly looking for his peers. He has a touch of class, of magic. He's the sort of player the Bernabeu likes. We have signed Modric because we know he can help us win." By the way, I did an entire player bio on him if you want to learn about his early beginnings back in Croatia, living through the war, etc. His entire come up through football. And while the start of his Real Madrid career wasn't easy, looking at it from the other side now, he will go down as one of the greats at the club. 2 La Liga titles, 1 Copa del Rey, 4 Supercopas, 4 Champions League titles, 3 UEFA Super Cups, and 3 Club World Cups. Of those Champions League triumphs, Modric started in all 4 finals, playing every single minute without getting substituted. His partnership with Toni Kroos and later Casemiro, that dynamic trio, have proven that they are not only relevant in 2022, but they are still dominant, even with a combined age of 97 years, of which Modric now supplies 36 of those years. But what's incredible about Modric, and again, this is consistent with other top players of this generation, is that every year that went by from about 2019 or so, there were questions over a renewal for Modric. The main factor being his age and how Real Madrid have a policy of only offering 1-year deals to players above 30. A prudent policy, given that players' bodies can take, the Sergio Ramos route, unfortunately, in their 30s, where they are constantly injured. There was a chance that this would have happened with Modric as well, as he sustained many injuries in the early part of the 2019-20 season, which called into question whether he would receive an extension from the club. It's a good thing he did, as he played a great role in Real Madrid storming to a La Liga title, and in some of the most unsurprising news, Modric made changes in an attempt to limit his injuries, something any top professional would do. According to Diario AS in an article from October of 2020, in the lead up to the 2021 season, Modric made changes to his diet, his rest, recuperation following each match and training session, and the results have been fantastic. As Zinedine Zidane said after Real Madrid eliminated Atalanta last season, the 2020-21 season, quote, "I congratulated the players because they played a great game from start to finish against a team that demands a lot physically. If you ask me about Luka, he's some player. He's 35 years old, but you wouldn't be able to tell from watching him on the pitch." So clearly his new approach to training, diet, and rest is paying dividends. Since making these changes, he's not only continued to put up mouth-watering performances week in, week out for Real Madrid or Croatia, but the maximum amount of matches he has been unavailable due to injury in this time frame has been 2 matches. Once, he missed 2 matches due to an abductor issue in August of 2021, and then he missed 2 matches when he tested positive for COVID as well. We're seeing players continue their careers further and further into their 30s, and this is what's required of them. All of them, whether it's Zlatan, Lewandowski, Ronaldo, Messi, all of them have taken this approach because showing up to training during the week and playing a match on the weekend isn't enough to remain at the very top. There's extra steps that need to be taken. And make no mistake, Modric is still at the top. Let's jump on to FBref and go through Modric's scouting report. Now, I'm sure a ton of you have used this feature to see how a player's performance stacks up to other players in their respective position from the top 5 leagues in Europe. Honestly, I don't know what my expectations were when it came to Lukita. I expected him to rank well, but not this well. Shame on me, right? I agree, shame on me. Now, if you've seen previous videos or you're familiar with this section of FBref, then this will already be familiar to you, but it's pretty intuitive for those who haven't. The higher the number, the higher the percentile. The higher the percentile, the more elite, you could say, their stats are. If he's in the 97th percentile for any given statistic, that means that he places in the top 3% of players in the top 5 leagues for that particular statistic. With that in mind, let's look at some numbers that show how elite even a 36-year-old Luka Modric is. Of course, there's no surprise that the areas in which Modric is most effective are when he has the ball at his feet. His possession-based and passing stats are fantastic. When it comes to passing, he's in the 96th percentile as far as progressive passing distance. Those are passes made toward the opponent's goal, so he absolutely is not a player that looks to play a safe pass backwards or sideways too often. In fact, his pass completion percentage is 92.9% this season, putting him in the top 12%, which for someone who looks to play through balls, this is great. Typically, a lot of the top passing percentages are found amongst center backs, given they are constantly playing the ball out from the back, either to their defensive midfielder or wide to their wing backs. Typically, very safe passes. Not something that a lot of central midfielders, or at least the ones of Modric's ilk, are looking to do. He averages at 1.76 key passes per game, which puts them in the top 7% in Europe, and he's in the 95th percentile, the top 5% when it comes to passes into the final third, averaging 7.46 passes into the final third per 90 minutes. In correlation with that, he's in the top 4% when it comes to through balls with 0.33 per 90, and in the top 6% when it comes to passes completed while under pressure. No surprise there, we've all seen how Modric operates in tight spaces. Spoiler, incredibly well. Speaking of which, let's move on to dribbling, as he gets out of those tight spaces so well, as we just said. Despite his age, he isn't afraid of taking on players still, as speed was never really his #1 asset when it came to beating players anyways. He is elite when it comes to carries, with an average of 64.64 carries per 90, putting him in the 96th percentile, and when it comes to dribbles completed per 90, he still ranks high. He's in the top 8% for his position. And with all of these dribbles and passes, how does that translate to both his goal and shot creating actions? A reminder, goal and shot creating actions are anything from a pass to a dribble to drawing fouls that lead to either a shot or a goal for your team. When it comes to shot creating actions per 90, Modric averages 3.11, putting him in the top 10%, picking up most of these with his passing. As for goal creating actions, he's in the 88th percentile, the top 12% for his position. With his man of the match performance against Athletic Club in the Supercopa, with that first touch, that strike, Luka Modric provided us with yet another example of his class. Not that we needed any further reminders. To sort of echo what Zidane said, he's a player whose level, work rate, and overall fitness record absolutely belie his age. And the more that time goes on, the more that I'm convinced that he will be remembered as one of the greats, a player whom we have to cherish while his playing career still rolls on with so much vigor. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think Modric is a player that's really hard to hate for anyone really, except maybe, some Barca or Atletico supporters, but he will at least have their respect. That's for sure. If you enjoyed this, then do leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Other than that, thank you for spending your time with me, and we'll hopefully see you very soon. Ciao.